Welcome to Access Housing Cooperative, located in Vancouver, British Columbia. The co-op has 52 stacked townhouses, ranging in size from 1 to 4 bedroom, with 15 adapted units and 1 studio apartment. Today we are talking to Gabe Dennis, the co-op's Vice President, and he will talk about the board's role and responsibility in making sure the co-op has good internal financial controls in place. Why are these important? They prevent mistakes that cost money and keep everyone above board and honest.
I'm Gabe Dennis. I'm the Vice President of Access Co-op. I've lived here for 5 years. I'm a stickler for internal financial controls, and it's something I really believe in because the board has the responsibility of safeguarding the co-op's money and does this by having sound policies and good practices in place. When I think about spending policy, a good spending policy, 2 things come to mind. The first is ensuring that we have maximum amounts for spending in certain areas. And if we have to go over those maximum amounts, that we would obtain 3 quotes to ensure that we're getting the best value for our money. First of all, the Finance Committee will go over the auditor's report, and then the board will meet with the auditor. And that's our way to ensure that we have really good financial controls. One of the core responsibilities of the board is ensuring good governance. That includes evaluating the work of our management company to make sure that they're performing to contract, specifically when it comes to internal financial controls, to see where they can make improvements. Training for the board at Access involves extensive workshops and education conferences and training from CHFBC, and we take advantage of those training opportunities for sure.
I'm Andrew Sitko. I am an accounting team leader at Coho Management Services Society. Coho would meet with the co-op's board once a month and present a management report. Segregating duties when it comes to financial controls basically means 2 things. One is there is no one person who does everything in the financial process, and the second is there's a system of checks and balances in place. Everyone sort of understands what their role is. So the board of directors is one primarily of governance, sort of ensuring the co-op is following its policies, procedures, rules, and things like that. Management carries out the tasks of managing the co-op, and it would be typically the management or the accountants who would deal with the accounting transactions. What Coho does to ensure proper internal financial controls for our clients is, first of all, the whole process is open and transparent. So everything we do, every document we work on is reviewable by the board or the co-op's auditor. Secondly, the reporting process. We meet monthly with the board of directors. We produce a management report that summarizes everything going on with management activities in the board. The directors then are able to ask any questions they want about anything in that process. It's very important that housing co-ops have an auditor. They're actually required to have them while they're under their operating agreement, but they should still have one even when they're out of their operating agreement, because the auditor is an independent, neutral third party who has no vested interest of the co-op's financial activities. So they would typically meet with the board of directors, and they would produce what they call a management letter, where they comment on the management activities and the management of the co-op and may make recommendations. They may delegate that duty to a finance committee or somebody else, but ultimately it is the board's responsibility to receive the auditor's recommendations.
My name is Emily DeKaiser, and I'm the manager at Bridletown Circle Cooperative Homes. I've been manager here for 22 years. I've been asked to speak about an unfortunate situation of embezzlement at this co-op approximately 26 years ago. The bookkeeper who embezzled from the co-op was appointed by the board. No hiring process, just he probably volunteered to do the job, and they let that just go ahead. At the time, the co-op board seems to have been dealing with a lot of issues. Arrears, about 4 eviction cases. They were dealing with little items of behavior, just all of things that should have been taken care of either by a manager or laid out in the bylaws or policies, but there was really very little in place. The co-op lost about $84,000. I would say that the co-op learned a very hard lesson. There were terrible financial consequences, least of which was a 17% increase to housing charges, which anybody can appreciate would be difficult. This was a hard loss to recover from. It took years to fully recover. Luckily, the co-op went on to become very successful. Several things helped the co-op to get back on track. There hasn't been a year when the co-op members haven't agreed to have an increase of some kind. It wasn't just financial. Having elections was really important because the slate somehow needed to be wiped clean, because there was a lot of rumor and mistrust. Also, I think hiring a new manager, that really helped as well. One of the things I think that was important in hiring a manager was having co-op experience, and therefore knew about CHFT, CHFC, knew what resources were out there for the co-op, so that I didn't have to know everything. It was seeing that things were done according to the bylaws and across the board. That was really important to setting the co-op back on the right track.
Some examples of safeguards to put in place in your co-op include: don't accept cash, don't sign blank checks, use check requisitions or purchase orders for all purchases, require 2 signatures on every check and that checks are numbered, require laundry or other sundry cash to be collected and counted by 2 people, use lock, fireproof cabinets, and have a clear line of authority in place to regulate access.
So this concludes our video on internal financial controls. If you would like to find out more about implementing these good practices in your housing co-op, or if you would like samples of the documents that were discussed, please contact your relationship manager at the Agency for Cooperative Housing. We also invite you to explore the HomeRun website for more resources and good practices.